According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, 2023 was the warmest year since the first recording of average temperature in 1850. This is a graph depicting average global surface temperature dating back to 1880. On the x-axis, there is years increasing, and on the y-axis is temperature increasing. As you can see, the average global surface temperature has been rapidly increasing. If these current trends continue, average global surface temperature will only continue to rise. Because of this, many people are turning to electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are becoming more and more prevalent in the United States in everyday lives. But what many people don't know is that the United States government actually interferes with the sale of electric vehicles through different means such as tax subsidizations. The United States government wants to reach an electric vehicle quota on cars by a certain date. To accomplish this task, the United States will offer tax breaks to U.S. consumers who purchase a qualifying electric vehicle. Many experts have different opinions on electric vehicles. Some say that they're great for the environment because of the zero tailpipe emissions, while others say that electric vehicles are almost as bad as conventional vehicles. For my connection to stimulus, in reading Elaine Caldwell, A Small Measure of Justice by Melinda Jaco, the article highlights government control, showing how the U.S. government mismanaged Indian trust funds. The article on Elaine Caldwell connects to government control and policy implementation because the government was taking advantage and controlling over the Native Americans while neglecting to implement policy that would benefit them. This correlates to government control and mandating and subsidizing the purchase of electric vehicles in specific states throughout the U.S. In reading FDR's inaugural address, it highlighted the role of government intervention in addressing the Great Depression. FDR demonstrated that effective governments was essential for overachieving economic challenges, which set the stage for New Deal policies, which significantly expanded the federal government's involvement in the citizens' lives and wallets. Both sources discussed the topic of government control and interference in economic sectors, which led me to my main claim of although electric vehicles in some cases can be beneficial to climate change in the United States government should not interfere with the sale or purchase of electric vehicles because electric vehicles are not 100% zero emissions and because electric vehicles are not the best solution to mitigate climate change. The first reason the United States government should not interfere with the sale or purchase of electric vehicles is because electric vehicles are not 100% zero emissions. People always praise and talk about how electric vehicles have zero emissions, which is technically true, but electric vehicles can still cause a sizable amount of pollution. Bjorn Lomborg, a Danish author and a former director of the Danish government's Environmental Asset Institute in Copenhagen, states in his peer-reviewed journal that electric cars' impact on air pollution isn't as straightforward as one may think. The vehicles themselves pollute only slightly less than conventional vehicles, but because of their massive batteries and consistent weight leads to more pollution through greater wear on brakes, tires, and roads. In a somewhat similar connection with Lomborg's argument, a peer-reviewed journal by Stephen Holland makes note on the topic of electric vehicles and how they are less detrimental to the global climate than petrol ones. But what he also found is a variation in the benefit of electric vehicles. He found that across the country, depending on how the energy generated used to power electric vehicles is made, either clean or non-clean, substantially affects the effectiveness of electric vehicles. The second reason the United States government should not interfere with the sale or purchase of electric vehicles is because electric vehicles are not the best solution to mitigate climate change. In a statement directly from the U.S. Internal Revenue Service, you may qualify up to a credit of $7,500 under Internal Revenue Code Section 30D if you buy a new or qualified plug-in electric vehicle, cell, or hybrid vehicle. The government is using subsidized and tax breaks to attempt to increase the number of electric vehicles, and it's working. With the government using so much money to subsidize electric vehicles, one would want the electric vehicles that they are subsidizing to profoundly affect the environment. However, they are not. But even with the fact that electric vehicles are not doing all what people hope for the environment, the government is still placing restrictions on fossil fuel vehicles and subsidizing electric vehicles. Cengiz Naydeep, who is a PhD in manufacturing technology management, makes note in his and his colleagues' peer-reviewed journal that world governments have begun to clearly address interconnected environmental issues by providing the automotive industry clear economic guidance focused on restructuring the negative impacts of their product, primarily through restrictions on petroleum-powered vehicles while enhancing the effects of electric vehicles primarily through financial subsidies. The United States government would better be off using the money previously going to subsidizing electric vehicles and putting it towards programs that are proven to help have a more substantial positive impact on the environment, such as clean sources of energy like wind, solar, or hydro. Limitations that come along with this solution is with the U.S. government not interfering in the electric vehicle market would be an economic decrease in the electric vehicle sector of the economy, which would cause a ripple effect incorporating a string of people and manufacturers that would occur, including job loss and overall economic depletion of the electric vehicle sector. And changing the government policy of electric vehicles would be a long thought out process. Due to political polarization over the recent years, this change would be a nationwide change and cause extreme political debate. Implications that would be brought along with the United States government stop interfering with the electric vehicle market would be the government could redirect funds normally going to subsidizing the sale and purchase of electric vehicles to programs that are proven to help the economy in a positive way. And people can start focusing on industries that have a more profound impact on the environment rather than the electric vehicle industry. On the other hand, some experts say that electric vehicles give off zero emissions and are the cure for climate change. This point makes sense because a lot of people do think that electric vehicles are zero emissions and believe that electric vehicles, because they're electric, they give off no pollution. However, many people forget to think about the energy that is needed to power the electric vehicles and how that energy is generated. In conclusion, although electric vehicles in some cases can work to be beneficial in mitigating the effects that humans have on the environment, like issues such as climate change, the United States government should not interfere with the economic sector of electric vehicles because electric vehicles are not the best solution for climate change, and electric vehicles are not 100% zero emissions. Electric vehicles are praised for being the cure to limiting mankind's negative environmental impact on the earth, but when you dive into the facts and statistics, they're not all what they seem. This is why we're excited.
Ready for your oral defense? Okay. What evidence did you gather that you didn't include, and why did you choose not to include it?
Some evidence that I gathered, so when I was first researching for this topic, I found a peer-reviewed article about the batteries that are built to power the electric vehicles and how they are detrimental to the environment. And while that article was a peer-reviewed journal, it was from 1998, and during that time period, when we've advanced way more in the actual components that we use in the battery and how we get the battery, so it's a little bit irrelevant to the current time period.
Okay. And what are the implications of your findings to your community?
So to my community is new people who are driving and young adults who may be purchasing a car for the first time, and for them to be more informed about electric vehicles and how the government is subsidizing and why the government is subsidizing for electric vehicles, and for them to be more informed to make better decisions and have better purchasing power.
Okay, thank you very much.